I can guarantee you, if you've got a good idea, somebody else in the world will have the same or similar idea as you. It's all about action and how quickly you can get that to market. You could spend tens of thousands of dollars having these types of drawings drawn up, money spent, but time wasted as well. Using Accio to be able to create this is going to get you better suppliers, which in turn will get you a better product. Absolutely embrace the power of AI, embrace the power of Accio.
Welcome to the Accio Playbook. In this episode, we will explore how experienced brand builders use AI to uncover demand, gain customer insights, and turn ideas into manufacturing-ready products. Today, I am joined by Leiden Smithers. Leiden is the president and co-founder of Titan Network, where he oversees more than 100 million in annual Amazon sales. He is known for building genuine relationships with manufacturers and negotiating with intention. Hello. Hi, Leiden. It's so good to see you, and thank you so much for coming to the podcast.
Hey, Ziwei. Good to see you again. Great to be on the podcast with you.
So I know that you have been very actively experimenting with AI and integrating various tools in your workflow at Titan and with different clients. Where have you seen the biggest success? And maybe where do you see as the key opportunities for other brand builders and operators?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've all got to the point now where we really have to embrace AI. It's not going away and it's getting stronger and stronger. But I don't think it'll ever replace us. And at the supply chain end and the product development end, I always talk about speed to market being key. If we're able to leverage AI to help with the product development piece and we're not all trying to extract it from our brains or run through a lot of analysis, if we can do it in minutes instead of months using AI, I think we're going to be getting even faster with that speed to market. So I'm a big advocate for it anyway. And with the introduction of AI, it's just getting even more powerful.
And I think that really has been a North Star for us at Accio to look for new features, improvement and enhancement to really help with that speed to market, as you have mentioned. So what I would love to do today is to take a look at some of your recent exchanges with Accio and just to see what questions that you have been asking, where do you see as things as being helpful, and hopefully have a few key takeaways for our audience. How does that sound?
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Great. So what we're seeing here is the interface of one of your histories with Accio. So let's take a look at what products that we're looking at. So I could see that you started with one of the existing products that you discover in the market. This is kind of like a silicone material type of dog washer. Super cool, super interesting. And I see the first question that you ask here is more about, is this a product category that is growing and is it worth getting into? On a very high level, Accio generated a report. And in the report, there's some summary, some market dynamics and trend outlook with visualizations, some analysis on the competitive landscape, segment evaluation, some benchmark products as an example, with some customer analysis, and a final strategic recommendation on a go or no go. What was the thought process behind asking this question, and anything that really jumped out to you as being helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. The reason around asking that question is because I just really want to understand if there's demand for the product. And if the product already exists out there, are people buying it? And are people continuing to buy it? Is the demand increasing? And we can see that with an 8% CAGR projected through 2033. It's a stable product. There's a stable demand for it. And then there's also a piece in here where it talks about 1.2 billion in 2024, but the US accounting for 100 million, which is a huge amount for this particular product, which is great to show that there's demand for a product that's already there. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just need to tap into that demand and make the product better. But the good thing is that only 100 million of the 1.2 billion came from the US. That also shows me an opportunity for global expansion and going into different markets as well. We're not solely focused on, if we tap out the US market, we've got options to sell in multiple markets, which was really interesting to me as well.
From an intuition perspective, you mentioned about how the pet category or these type of customers are the passionate type that you think there's a lot of opportunities. Can you maybe elaborate more about that?
We know that the pet market is a very passionate market, which is why I sort of went down this route. And actually my first product in 2015, 11 years ago, was a pet dog nail clipper. I've had dogs my whole life. I know how passionate people can be. But what I like about a product like this is that people will spend the money for better quality. They want the best for their babies, as pet owners sometimes would call them. There's no one more passionate than a dog owner or a mum when you're looking at baby products and stuff like that. People are willing to spend the money, normally indicates there's enough margin in it.
So far we have talked about how the overall category is worth getting into. And then immediately what you got into afterwards is to take a look at, okay, since it's an existing product in the market, are there any customer pain points and are there opportunities to uncover needs? So with that as a guidance or input into Accio, I could see that Accio delivered a report that talked about overall what are the key findings in terms of pain points. There's an analysis of a pie chart of what that distribution looks like. And then some recurring complaints, just key themes again. And then a summary table for unmet needs and what could the feature request look like. Final analysis of how the existing different segments in the market align with all of these different needs. And in the end, an overall maybe summary of a strategic recommendation on if you want to get into this existing category, what you could do. So again, we'd love to hear from you some thought process, what stood out to you, where you will call as key best practices for our audience.
We've established there's a demand in the first part of the research, and then we automatically want to see what we can do to improve the product to take market share from our competitors. And this is a huge opportunity to create a better product than what's already out there. And what's currently being disguised as saturated because there's a huge demand for it, but nobody's really nailed the design. This puts the data on a plate and makes it very easy for us to decide how to improve the product. This could take a long, long time in sort of going through Amazon reviews and checking the product where we're able to find out what people don't like about it. Accio puts it right in front of me and creates that amazing pie chart there and tells me exactly what are the most important things. So what we can see here is we've got hygiene, so the smell of the product. So we need antibacterial silicone being used in there, dog resistance, sizing and issues, and then a tedious prep and cleaning or like preparing it and ease of use. But the biggest opportunity here is the customer that's using this is having a problem with having wet paws afterwards or creating a mess as the dog pulls their paw out of this. So this is really, really good to identify the issues. But what we could do if we were doing this manually is go down a rabbit hole of, I really need to fix the hygiene smell issue. Whereas the biggest opportunity to improve on the product that's already there isn't necessarily that. It's only 5% of people care about that. The biggest opportunity is obviously the wet paws mess. And that's where I'd focus my energy rather than typically if you didn't have this data to hand, you wouldn't be able to decide where to go down. What this allows us to do is you might not have a pet, right? You might not have a dog, but you can still have a dog brand and a dog product because you're using real data from real people who've bought similar products and you're tending to their needs. You don't have to be an expert in the products because Accio's just put all the data in front of you. There's no point you ordering this product to test it if you don't have a dog to test it on, right? But we don't need to because we're taking real life data from real life people who are facing these issues. And that's what we say about the products in the e-commerce space or in the retail space. We're not selling a product, right? We're identifying a problem and selling the solution. It just happens to be in the form of a physical product.
So based on our previous insight that wet, messy paws is one of the top problems and opportunities for this product. Here, we're developing a new product by adding a removable microfiber or high absorbency ring as an opportunity. And then Accio provided 3 distinct concepts. And then when we go into the report, it will first, again, revalidate the pain points and opportunities one more time. And then for each concept or proposal, it will provide you a hero video about what this could look like, and then a breakdown of the key specs across materials, dimensions, core features, structures, etc. And then after doing that for all 3 proposals, in the end, it will give you a comparison about how each of them will compare against each other across specifications or attributes such as cost, time to market, and even risks. In the end, Accio will also give you its own recommendation on why it thinks that this specific concept is better than the others. So again, Leiden, I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the results? How do you see that fitting into or improving the existing workflow?
Yeah, absolutely. Like coming back with these suggestions on how to improve that specific pain point that we identified in the previous step is incredible. And if you take a look at those images, I like number 2. It's not perfect. So we do need to layer that human element over the top of it. But this is a huge leap in the right direction. And again, in minutes, this hasn't taken creating prototypes, testing it, speaking to friends and focus groups. Like we've managed to do this in seconds on using Accio and creating an image that we can take to a supplier and ask what they think and see if they can take it to their engineers, their designers and say, what do you think of this? Is it even possible to make this? And what recommendations would you have? Trying to explain the problem that we have and the solution that we're trying to provide over email or just by words or even voice notes is going to be very, very difficult. This is a photograph level image created of the product and automatically removes any translation issues and presents ourselves as a professional buyer to the suppliers we're reaching out to because we've got something to show them. It's very difficult for suppliers sometimes to want to work with us if we don't have all the data and we don't have all the ideas.
Following up on that, as you have mentioned that not all of them are perfect, right? What I can do here is to select on this specific image or concepts and then click on Ask Accio in the menu bar below and then just to talk about any iterations that you might want. Besides that, as we go back here, if you're already happy with the image, you can remove the background for a better result when you're showing to someone else. You can upscale it if you need more details. And there's a new feature that we just launched not too long ago for tech back generation. Maybe in this case, a specification sheet might be a more accurate word for this category. But within this option, you can choose to do 3-view drawing, compliance and safety, process flow, and assembly diagram. So I did that super quickly on the idea that you have just mentioned. So let's take a look at what's the result coming out of Accio. So again, same idea that you have mentioned as looking interesting, not perfect, still needs iterations. And then here will be a 3-view drawing of what that could look like from the 3 perspectives, some more details about the item itself. Here is a process flow about what will be the production process look like that you could anticipate from the manufacturing side, assembly diagram of how, or an exploded view of how they all get to put together, and more information about applicable regulations, certification requirements, material compliance, labeling, etc. So I would love to hear about your thoughts on, would this thing be interesting or helpful in your experience with the manufacturers? And in what way do you think that could be of benefit to our target builders?
Yeah, absolutely. This is very, very powerful because once again, when we're presenting this to our suppliers and asking if they can then create it, if we can give them a breakdown, like a bill of materials there, breakdown of what materials we're intending to use and ask them if they agree with that, and then have this image broken out into the different pieces, we can understand and they can very quickly get us quotes on what the mold costs might be or advise us against creating different aspects to it. So that's really, really important. And I think for us presenting drawings of this level, which would normally cost us thousands, if not tens of thousands, and a lot of hours. We talked about the time saved here, but there's a lot of money being saved here by having a professional designer draw up these drawings and then all the research and paying professionals to find out the regulations per country. This gives us a very good basis to work off when presenting to our suppliers, looking very professional without the huge amount of cost involved in the drawings and all the research around the regulations. And if you have a look at that, it sort of gives you a bill of materials as well and tells you and suggests what type of materials to use. And tells you which bits need to be stainless steel, which bits needs to be a certain type of plastic, a microfiber as an example as well. So being able to break that down and really hash it out with the supplier and understand what products are able to be used, it enables you to find the supplier quicker as well. Because if you want something microfiber, it's a very simple product, but you can find a supplier who specializes in that. Or stainless steel, for example, versus normal steel, you need to try and find suppliers that specialize in specific products. If you go in with this research, with the tech pack, or the specifications and bill of materials and go in and speak to a supplier, you're going to look very professional and you're going to get better results. And you're going to be able to access suppliers that potentially wouldn't have been interested with you. So I think using Accio to be able to create this is going to get you better suppliers, which in turn will get you a better product.
Is there any other words of wisdom, advice, or call outs that you will have for our listeners trying to utilize AI to improve their efficiency?
Yeah, for sure. And we've spoken about it before, but I think an important factor is the speed to market, because I can guarantee you, if you've got a good idea, somebody else, there's a lot of people in the world, somebody else in the world will have the same or similar idea as you. It's all about action and how quickly you can get that to market or get it patented and get it created. And the first step is obviously design. And if you can turn months into minutes by using something like Accio, absolutely embrace the power of AI, embrace the power of Accio. And then the beauty of Accio being able to connect to suppliers as well through Alibaba's database is just incredibly powerful for the next stage. Listen, we said it before, AI isn't going to replace us. I always talk about the importance of face-to-face interactions and building relationships, but this can get us there a lot faster.
That is super helpful, and I hope that has been inspiration or encouraging for our audience still thinking about or already trying it out with Accio with similar tools. So thank you so much, Leiden, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.